Hello and welcome back. So let's get started with the index action. If I go to my browser, okay, and if I type in this /recipes route, which is the route that I'm expecting to see my recipes listing, if I reload it, since my server is running, whoops, actually that's the new route. Okay, it says no route matches get recipes. Okay, so what am I doing here? I am expecting to go to this route and I'm expecting to get the index action. So I just did this over my browser and I got this routing error from Rails. What if I want to build this test and get the same result? Let's try that out. Now my server is running, that's why I'm able to see that. So let's go ahead and build a test for this. If I go to my test directory, okay, and my integration, you'll see I don't have an integration test for recipes. I have my model test for chef and recipe. I have integration for pages, but I don't have it for my recipes. Now, since I'm dealing with going to the index action and seeing all of my recipes show up, I'm going to build an integration test because that is a feature of my application. And you'll hear this quite often, people will use the term feature test and integration test. And when I use RSpec, I use feature test all the time, okay? So I'm going to call this an integration test. I use this interchangeably. And integration is anytime I'm interacting with the browser in my application and expecting it to go a certain way, an action or a feature to work a certain way, that entire process is an integration test. So back here, I'm going to write down Rails generate integration underscore test and then recipes. Okay, hit return. There you go. It creates this file, recipes test. If I pull it up, you will see this is very similar to my pages test. Just has test helper, the class name, and end. So right here, recipes test, test helper, class name, and end. Okay. And of course it has where its subclass is from. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to replicate what I did here. I went to the /recipes route, okay, to view the index page. Let's replicate this, all right? So the test name, let's give it a name. Test should get recipes index. And this is how I build tests, okay? I look at what I'm trying to do, and if I can, I look at the browser, and then I try to replicate it here in my test. So this should be a good way of going about it. So the first thing I did was get recipes URL. Okay? Get recipes URL. A get request to recipes index, which is this one. And if you're thinking, oh, how did I know recipes URL? Remember, my paths right here, prefix is recipes. So recipes underscore path or recipes underscore URL will send a get request. So let's test it out. I have my test right here and I have saved it. And what is it that I expect once I send it to recipes URL? I want a response of success. Okay. I want to be able to get to that route or get to that page right here. I want a response that, hey, 200, okay, received successfully. So let's see if I'm able to do that. I'll type in assert underscore response and then colon success. That'll basically test that I'm successfully able to get this route. So if I type in Rails test, okay, I have one error. It says undefined local variable or method recipes URL. Okay, what does that mean? That means I don't have a route recipes URL. All right, I don't have a route right here. No route matches get recipes. I don't have a route for it. If I remove this line, let's see what happens. If I just try to get to the recipes URL, it's gonna give me an error. Check it out. Undefined local variable or method recipes URL. It doesn't know what to do with it. Now, if I type in recipes path, save that, and then run it again. Check it out. It has an error. Undefined local variable or method recipes path. Okay, same error. It basically cannot find this route. So let's go ahead and add this route, and I'm going to add it individually. I'm not going to add resources keyword right now. So simply let's type in get/recipes, and I'm doing this because we need to understand and be able to type out the routes manually and then be able to use them by simply doing resources recipes. Okay, so get recipes, and I'm going to send this to recipes controller index action. Okay, so now if I do Rails test, so basically same thing. What I'm trying to do is over here I'm trying to get this route, and my test is also saying that I don't have this route. So I'm simply doing the minimum necessary, which is getting this route and sending it somewhere. So let's try it now. Okay, now I have an error. Okay, uninitialized constant recipes controller. That's the error it's giving me. Why is my test giving me this error? Because I'm saying grab this route and send it to the recipes controller index action, but then I don't have recipes controller. If I go here and reload this page now, uninitialized constant recipes controller. See, the same error. But instead of having to do this in the web server, my test is grabbing this. Okay, I'm not having to type this out, hit reload. Simply running my test is grabbing this error. Okay, so let's go to our recipes controller, which we don't have. Okay, and then we'll have to give it an index action. So let's step one, minimum to pass this test, which is I have to initiate recipes controller over here. And as you know, to interact with the application from your web URL, you need a controller. So over here, app controllers, right click, new file, recipes controller.rb, pull it up, class recipes controller, remember class name, so camel case, application controller, end. All right, minimum required to pass the test. So now I've added recipes controller. Let's run our test again. All right, so it has an error. It says the action index could not be found. Makes sense. We have routes that we're saying there's an index action, but in my recipes controller, it's not there. Okay, now over here, if I reload my web server, the action index could not be found. Same error. Okay, so let's add in our index action in recipes controller. Define index, end. Save that. Run our test. One error. Okay. Check it out. It's saying it's missing a template. So right now, it doesn't have a template for index, meaning it doesn't have a view. If I reload this, same thing, is missing a template. It's saying, okay, you're saying you have an index action, and when I go look under views for a recipes folder and an index.html.erb, I can't find it. I can't find what to show here. So we're going to have to add that. So under views, right here, we have our layouts and we have pages folder. Since it's recipes, right click, new folder, recipes. And as you know, controller name and the folder name, they have to be the same. Folder name under views, controller name have to be the same without the underscore controller. Okay, so recipes, right click, new file, and this is the index. So index.html.erb. All right, so I have the file now. Okay, I don't have any code in it, but I have the file. So let's see what happens when I run the test. I get no errors. 18 runs, 23 assertions, 0 failures, 0 errors. I don't have any errors. That means I have a view. Okay, reload. check it out. I have a view. It's a standard view. You know, it has my layout that's showing up. I have nothing in there because I don't have any code in this file. If I just say hi and then save this, if I reload it, check it out, the hi shows up. I have an index view. Perfect. So now I have an index view working, and I was able to get that by using test-driven development. And I wrote this integration test where I'm looking for this path, and if I remove this, this should work. Start response success. There you go. My test is passing. Okay, now the next step. Okay, next step is important. I need to actually see the listing of my recipes. Now I just can get the recipes page, but my requirement, if you remember, is to see the recipes listing, not just to get to the page, but to actually see the recipes I have. And if you remember, I have a few. If I jump on Rails console, we built this. And if you haven't built it, now would be a good time to add a couple of recipes. Remember to add users to them too, otherwise it won't save. If I type in recipe.all, see I have a couple of recipes. So at this time, again, if you haven't built a couple, go to your console and build a couple of recipes. Because in the next video, we're going to write a test, have some recipes created, and look for them to be displayed on the site. Okay? I'll see you there.